Hello, everyone. This is Jacqueline with Beach City, and we are here in Silicon Valley, and we are at Plug and Play. We have Danielle Chatelain with us today of BayPay. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Danielle.
Thank you for the invitation and the opportunity.
Oui, absolument. Enchantée.
Enchanté.
Merci beaucoup. So I wanted to get just a little idea about what BayPay is, what your story is, how you got here, what your path was, as many exits as you took off and side roads to get to where you are. We're all very interested.
Okay.
And so a little bit about BayPay and what you do here at Plug and Play, and then a little bit about you. How's that sound?
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good. Awesome.
So BayPay is an organization that focuses on innovation in payments, commerce, and fintech. And we have two missions in life. One is to unearth business opportunities for executives in established companies or entrepreneurs. And the other one is to bridge the gap between startups and these established companies, because we believe that innovation goes hand to hand between entrepreneurs and bigger companies that have more resources, but which are also a little bit slower to adopt because it's a bigger boat to have.
Wonderful, and it's very easy to sink.
Yeah, also, yeah, for some. It takes time, but...
It takes time, but you want to allow people to have the time and the support.
Yes, exactly. And I think you have also the creative side of the entrepreneur, the capability to be much more nimble, test different business models before starting scaling and growing.
Well, that's
That maybe bigger companies can't really afford because they have a brand to protect and they can't take as much risk compared to startups.
And legalities, even with media or PR, is a bit prohibitive. The whole function of it is to protect them, but I think it also inhibits a bit.
Yeah, definitely. We are in a space which is highly regulated. You know, when you look at payments and you look at fintech and banking, so this doesn't prevent you as a bank, for example, from doing ICOs and managing cryptocurrencies. It's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Wow, that's very interesting.
It's
So
an exciting space.
So the forum itself is the same. So it's BayPay. You have this wonderful forum. Do you now? I remember you said you do events, correct?
Yeah, we the way we educate people on the new business trends is to organize events. So we have today over 15,000 members, which are all from corporations or startups or VCs. And we take one topic and we go very deep into this topic. It's a little bit like a workshop, but more business-oriented workshop. Examples of this is we've done events on cross-border payments, on how to grow a company, how to work with an established company, or what's the best practice from established companies to work with startups, what are the programs they put in place. So this helps the communication between the two worlds.
So learning from others' mistakes, so you
Also,
don't make them yourself.
Also, yeah. And so I'm a mentor at Plug and Play here on the fintech side. I think they're doing a great job at bringing people together as well. They're starting doing it around the world. We have a complete different format, which is a 3-hour event, and we do it a little bit in different cities like San Francisco, Silicon Valley, Los Angeles, Santa Monica, Atlanta, New York. We have an event next week.
Yes. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that event?
Yeah, so this one will be a small event. It's a reception. So it's to bring people together. There is no particular speaker, but it's a good way to get together with people. You can meet, for coffee later on.
It's all about being in the right room.
Yeah, exactly.
All about being in the
Exactly.
right room. So only members of
No,
BayPay?
it's open to anybody.
Okay.
But sometimes the topics are so specific that you would be bored if you're not interested in the topic.
What are the topics at hand for this
For
event?
example, we have
For this one specifically.
for this one, in
York's
New York, no topic because
Okay.
it's a reception.
So all are welcome.
But we had one event last week at Santa Clara University, and it was about AI in fintech.
Oh, okay.
So AI in fintech, if you're not in the space,
A little lost.
yeah.
Even if you're interested, you're like, Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Oui.
So you have people like speakers from Visa, from BNP Paribas, from
Okay.
FICO, which is a
Okay,
scoring
yes,
company in the
absolutely.
US, Verifone, who are sharing their knowledge and expertise on that.
Oh, that's
But
lovely.
we had also a lot of students and faculty,
Okay.
as well as business executives. So it was a good way to mix a little
All
bit
demographics, all
people. Yeah,
levels, yeah.
yeah,
And then sharing
yeah.
knowledge and sharing
Mhm.
experience
And
and
like
making connections.
one question that was asked was, okay, if you have to give an advice to students studying right now, being in college, what would you give? And so some said, like Visa said, we need data scientists. So
Yeah.
if you are looking for, studying something, there will be a lot of needs today, but also in the future.
Yeah. Data science, guys. It's the next thing.
Exactly.
So get rid of those student loans and be a data scientist.
Yeah, you can get the money back much faster
Much
this way.
faster, yeah,
Mhm.
indeed. Wow, that's actually quite lovely. And then I'll be in New York next
Yeah.
week.
So
I would love
I
to
hope,
swing by.
Yeah, sure.
Is
Sure,
it what day is it on?
So it's on the 22nd.
Okay,
It
yeah.
will be at Madison WeWork.
Madison WeWork.
Yeah. And
So
from
then-
6 to 8, something like this.
Okay.
5:30 to.
Sergio Fernandez de Cordova, you're my date. Come by if you're in town. I'll ping you later. He's definitely a founder and CEO and man you
Yeah.
want to,
No,
for sure,
that's
someone
good.
you want to know.
That's what we
He's
want.
New York
Yeah.
based, but he's global and he works in social innovation, he works in fintech, he works in smart cities.
Yeah.
Really, really dynamic man.
Yeah, and all these topics are what we also cover. Because if you look at smart cities, and we did an event, for example, on pay by car.
Yeah.
Pay by car, why? Because if you look at the trend, in a few years, we won't drive cars anymore if we don't want to, which is a good thing
Who
for
doesn't
some.
want to feel that rev though?
You can take
Oh, you
over.
can?
You can take
Oh,
over,
lovely.
but so if you don't do anything in your car, what will you do? Pretty much, you become a consumer in a mini marketplace.
Indeed.
And so, how do you
Spend your
go
time,
to
spend
this
your money,
particular phase? And so, you have companies working on this right now, and
And
even
they're part of your network.
and they're part of our network. Yes. Mhm.
Very. And now, would that then include Tesla or anyone who's doing electronics?
Yeah,
or
so you
auto-
have,
that's-
but it's interesting to understand who's going to take over this
Exactly.
part. Is it an Amazon, or is it an Apple, or is it a Nissan, a Tesla,
Yeah,
BMW?
Toyota,
So
could be
the
anyone.
car manufacturers, or are they the card networks like Visa,
Yeah.
Mastercard, Amex, Discover? So that's why we had this discussion to try to understand a little bit who was active in the space and what they were doing, what their intents were. So
Okay.
like that, we can see if there are some business opportunities associated with this new trend.
Oh wow, that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
So Danielle, I really am curious. Just switching gears, if we're going to be talking about cars, what is your story? How did you get here? Tell me your path,
Yeah, so I'm not
or
the
the
native.
road that you traveled.
Yeah. No, so I come from Europe, as you can
Yes.
hear. Yeah, one part
So,
of Europe, which is France,
What part
specifically
in France, if you don't mind?
Paris. So
Okay,
an
I was
easy
just
one.
there.
Yeah.
I literally, for this, I got a call during my stopover. It was like, hey, can you be in Denver and Boulder and San Francisco? I was like, I mean, I'm on a flight right now, but yeah, when is this? They're like, 2 days. I was like, okay. So I had
Yeah.
about 18 hours to go to
To go.
DUN, do my meetings, get my things ready, and jump on another
Wow,
plane. So I
yeah.
was just in
Very
Paris.
active life.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that's good.
So I love Paris. Love it.
It's a nice
So-
city.
It's nice. I think I'm still just getting to know it.
Mhm.
So I didn't, haven't lived there yet. But
It's a city a little bit in transition, I would say,
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
have the past, the history,
Yeah.
and all the culture, which is
Yeah.
still very important there. But you have also a lot of new trends, like new entrepreneurs, and you start having an ecosystem to help these entrepreneurs
Yeah.
being successful. You have a lot of innovation labs, you have a lot of incubators, and so on. So I think the country is a little bit changing on that. We'll
Yeah.
see how successful they are, but definitely the new administration there is
Yeah, very
pushing in this
supportive.
direction. Yes.
yeah, and then they're trying to take all of our scientists.
Or-
Which,
or get them-
hey, I mean,
getting
people
them
need
back.
work, so they're going to go
Yeah,
where they need to go, you
Yeah,
know?
definitely.
So, and you're excited about Paris then? Because you had
Yeah,
to come
I like
here
it, but
then.
I like also Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
It's a very different world, which I hope will be duplicated in other countries,
Yeah.
because it's a real ecosystem for success.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean everybody coming here will be successful, but at least you have the capability to really scale your business from here.
Wow, wonderful. Have you been to Boulder yet?
I lived in Denver, Colorado
Oh, you did.
before.
We just
yeah.
came from there.
Yeah, it's a
Boulder
beautiful
is
city. Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah.
Absolutely. The ecosystem there is just so dynamic,
Yeah.
so diverse. They truly are this. I mean, it's not just for show. They are a community. They
Yeah.
truly support each other. They hug each other. They're really down to earth. It's fascinating. I'm from New York. Everyone's like cutthroat competitive.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, that's your competition, yet you guys are still very authentically okay with each other. Like, yeah, whatever. We're just here to help each other.
You were asking earlier how I came to the US.
Yeah.
I came first to Denver because it was at the time the capital of cable, and I signed with US West, Time Warner to build their interactive TV system. And so, what people don't know about Denver, the weather is great. You have 300 days of sunshine every year, and in the same weekend you can go to the mountain, ski, and come back, and a lot of the outdoor.
Yeah.
For sure.
So you loved it.
Yeah.
And then what
was
brought
great.
you? Then what took
Silicon
you away?
Valley, it's it was the beginning of the internet, so I moved here. It was a little bit more active here
A little
in
bit
terms
more
of
active and
technology
your
and
potential,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's wonderful.
But I love Denver. It was good.
Do you go back often?
Not at all.
Oh no, you should.
No.
It's lovely.
Yeah, and
It's
is.
so
it is.
lovely.
Mhm.
I loved it. The altitude was a little much,
Yeah.
but the people were great.
Yeah.
Oh, just
And it's very dry, so you have your skin,
Oh, yes.
scratching.
lots of moisturizer.
Yeah.
Lots.
Mhm.
Like an obscene amount. Just
Yeah.
like, what is going on? Like,
Yeah.
But it was beautiful in the way that their ecosystem developed over the last 20, 30 years is fascinating. It truly is and was. It stayed true to its core, which was creating a real tight-knit community that truly supports each other. And it seems like it's existing on a scale that sustains that ethos. And I feel in Silicon Valley it changed a bit. I mean, because it became so big.
Silicon Valley, I've been here 20 years, and
Yeah.
Silicon Valley has changed over time.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, it was very much, entrepreneurial, and you develop a technology, and you start scaling. So it's the Yahoo, and or even before that, the Intel and Fairchild and so on. But I think today, in the last few years, Silicon Valley has transformed into a marketplace. Before you had a company here, you raised money, and to find your customers, you had to go to New York, you had to go to other cities which are bigger in terms of markets. Today, it's the other way around. The banks are coming here, the car manufacturers are coming here. Tesla is born here in San Carlos, a little bit north of here. And so it's not as difficult as before to start engaging with much larger companies.
Okay.
You have Ant Financial, Alipay there in San Mateo. You have Standard Chartered. You have BNP in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So in one day, you can meet all these companies and start engaging to see if there is a potential for a proof of concept or even becoming a customer.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Wow,
So that's a big change, and it helps the
you're
region
here
as well.
for the history and the making of this.
But it's just what I saw. It's
absolutely.
from my little window.
So do you have any, being from France and coming to the United States and being here for 20 years, do you have any cool stories or anything that just stuck with you and drove you to continue your work?
But I think if I compare, Europe and here in Silicon Valley in particular, is today here you can have an idea, you can share it, because the idea is worthless.
Yeah.
Pretty much. What counts is the execution.
Yeah.
When in Europe, just the idea is something you cherish, you don't want to share it too much. But what you see in sharing it is you get the value of people adding to your idea, to explain to you maybe other angles that you didn't thought about, and give you also introductions to people who could be useful either to help you or to get some funding or get some introduction to customers or so that's much more helpful, and I think it's the culture of Silicon Valley that makes it
So they're not
so
poaching,
successful.
they're helping,
Yeah,
they're promoting,
helping,
they're
it's a-
connecting.
Yeah, exactly, and that's very useful for entrepreneurs because now you get a feedback very fast. That we had today, this morning, a session with roughly 15 healthcare companies, and you have a direct feedback from investors or entrepreneurs who were successful and are giving you back the information, asking questions on what you didn't present well, and so on. And for after you have one-on-one meetings with these companies to discuss and give some introductions and feedback.
Yeah, I feel like having that type of support and network and truly valuable network, not just people saying yes, 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 yes all the time.
Yeah.
I feel that yet the term yes men are it's stifling to true progress,
Yeah.
because you need it's like growing a business and developing and scaling and everything like that. It grows slowly over time. People, for some reason, kind of aren't. It's not that they're not aware of that. I feel like they're just like, oh wow, I have an idea, and 6 months later, I have a unicorn and I have $1 billion. That's not the path that
No.
99.99% of
But
entrepreneurs.
that's a story you will hear.
Of course.
Because hey, we did this, and everything
It's
worked
enticing.
fine,
Yeah,
and so
of
on.
course.
But it's hard to be an
Yeah.
entrepreneur and be successful.
And I feel like it's odd, the weirdest euphemism on earth that I'm using right now, but growing a business and developing a business is like like growing your hair out after
I
a
don't
bad
know about
haircut.
that.
Oh yeah, me. Sorry, you can have some.
Yeah,
You want
give
some?
me some.
So it's like growing your hair out, and sometimes you need a new style, and sometimes you need a trim, and sometimes you need to completely change it all. And that changes you as a person. That affects you as your image, who you are, how you're perceived in the world. But you also have to trust people to be able to do that for you for the most part.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to trust that what they see in you and your potential, and even if that is taking off a little extra or critiquing a little more, that will help you grow in the long run.
Yeah, yeah.
I think a lot of people in my generation, not everyone, I've met with a ton of entrepreneurs that are just like, yeah, no, bring on the criticism, love it. But some people are extremely sensitive to criticism, to someone saying slash this, slash that, no, that doesn't work. But you have to understand, if someone doesn't care about your idea and they don't think it's valuable, they're not even going to talk to you. If they talk to you and they say, hey, I like what you're going for, you need to cut that, they care. They care enough about you, they believe enough about your intellect, who you are, and your potential to give you that advice, to take time, even if it's 30 seconds out of their day, to say, hey.
We had on Wednesday, I'm a mentor also of 500 startups, and we had the batch 23. And during this welcome party, we had a pitch, 1 minute pitch from all the companies that have been selected for the batch.
Oh, cool.
So, and there is no training, they're just coming. So for some, they're coming from Turkey, from Canada, from New York, from all over the place. And they're going to start the program to shape their business, understand better their business model, and so on. And people can be rude, telling them, don't do that, do that, do that. Yeah. But you have the feedback. It's not how the message is passed, it's the message
content,
itself, which is important. And people should value the feedback from these people who are much more experienced on this.
I agree, and I feel that we're all learning about this new form of education, and so many people have been indoctrinated into the idea like, no, you have to go to school and you have to do this and you have to go through this path and only this path. But everyone who's successful has had the most ridiculous paths. They've had these, I had no idea I was a civil engineer and I was building bridges and building homes and all of these things and massive skyscrapers, and then they work in a field that has absolutely nothing to do with that.
Which is maybe their passion, and they nurtured it for many years, and one day they decide to take take it.
Yeah, and I find great value in criticism. I mean, even me doing this, it's brand new to me, I am not well seasoned in this, so I will, encourage friends who work in broadcasting or work in journalism or work in Facebook Live, and they do that as their careers. I'm like, hey, just, all criticism, all advice, just I want to hear it all.
Yeah.
I want to know what you think because you are the expert.
And you see, you have here, a structure to raise money and grow your business. And what people don't get, they see the money. They don't see why some people can get, a seed round or a Series A round, Series B round. But there is a particular criteria from VCs to say, okay, now you had this particular phase and I can trust, I can put money in your company. One thing that you want to do when you are at the seed level is to try as many things as you can, because what you want is to be able to find the business model and the market you're in on which you can be successful. Once you have this and you build a product and so on, but after the other rounds are more for scaling, for growing the team and replicating the success that you had at a smaller scale at a much larger scale.
So understanding where you are and what the best place for you is,
Yeah,
and
so
not
that's why you have
rushing it.
companies like Twilio and so on. They grew very, very fast because there is a technology side that helps developing their product and so on. But once they found a way to sell it and find the right niche, then that's when they can grow. And with a SaaS
it feels
business,
like hyper expands to anyone who wasn't from the beginning.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? So even if it is that, for all intents and purposes, quick growth, quick scaling, to the people who made it, who started from scratch, who started from a concept, it takes time. And I think some people forget about that because all they're seeing is the media and all they're seeing is like, we just did it. I'm like, guys, I know you just did it, but there's a lot of work involved and a lot of trusting and understanding the value of mentors and people like yourself.
Yeah, and
who would
also
do that.
the team you have is
Yeah.
selecting the right team from the beginning is something hard, and you shouldn't hesitate to fire fast.
Yeah. And now, I know that some people, they want to work with their friends. Friends, but value of being friends first.
No,
And then,
but it's a choice of life. It's maybe it can work. You have some very successful companies when it's two brothers working together. We had the CEO of LandUp, for example. They went through the Y Combinator process, and they raised a lot of money for lending money to the underserved market. You have one which is more fundraiser and sales, and the other one was more engineer. And they work together to create this company, and it works very, very well.
But they can also fight and then be fine the next day.
Sure.
Sure. I mean, I feel that's siblings and family. It's a little bit more of yes, we can disagree. Yes, we can actually throw down the gauntlet, and then we eat something we feel better.
Yeah.
And,
But I don't think it has to be the first choice, the first criteria. But it can work.
Yeah.
But I think what you have to do when you create a founding team is to find the people who are complementary to make it successful later. And you don't have to be to give a CS VP sales. Maybe it's a director sales, because you need to bring somebody later who is more seasoned. Yeah.
Seasoned. So that's some incredible advice and knowledge.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. You've been very generous with your time, and I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, I can sense it. I can't see it, but I'm like,
I
we're
have to go now.
we're over. Yes. But Daniel,
Okay.
merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Enchanté.
And so see you next week.
Absolutely. I will
At
email
work.
you, and I'll get on the guest list. Is that okay?
Yeah, you have to register
yes.
to go through security and so on.
I know,
of the
I
building, so.
But I do
Okay.
have friends at the WeWork location,
Yeah.
and I'll be excited to see
Okay,
you there.
perfect.
And New York.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And New York.
New York. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us today. This is Jack with Beach City signing off from Plug and Play. Check you later from our next location.